Welcome to the Irresistible You podcast. This is the place to get a dose of empowerment to create the life you crave and deserve. My name is Amy, and I am the CEO and founder of Irresistible University. Through my podcast and courses, I teach women just like you how to ditch the body image issues, gain confidence, and lose the emotional weight to look and feel irresistible at any size. Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 199. And in today's episode, we are talking about weight gain and the holidays because don't you know it, we are in that time of year. We are heading towards the end of the year. Weight gain becomes a really big topic of discussion. And I just want to chat with you today about that. And the message that I really want to get across to you is this, is that weight loss or weight gain is not something that just happens. And a lot of times we act like it's this big shock. It's this big surprise. We don't know how we got here when we go to try our clothes on in the new year or, wait till we're over here living our best life in leggings and we go to put jeans on or we go to put shorts on and we're like, oh my God, it doesn't fit. How did this happen? So the main message that I want to get across to you today is that weight gain is not something that just passively happens to us. Weight gain happens when we take our eye off the ball. Weight gain happens when we decide to not pay attention, when we decide to zombie walk it and just go through the motions and not pay attention to what we're consuming. You have a choice, okay? As we go into the holiday season, you have a choice as to whether you enter this season and exit this season heavier or lighter or the same. We all have that option. We have the ability to make the choice. What comes along with making that choice is the responsibility and the follow through and the consistency to do what we say we're going to do, right? And that's the rub. Staying consistent and keeping promises to yourself and doing what you said you were going to do. I want you to think about this season, right? So let me back it up for a second and just share my experiences and things that I have gone through in the past where I was like having the pity party of, I don't know how this happened. I don't know. Like, we do know how it happened, right? So the best example that I always love to share is, we're hibernating. We are, like I said, we're living in our leggings. I even got my like oversized sweater, like off the shoulder thing going on today. We're living our best lives and, we're cold. So we're bundling up. We're wearing stretchy clothes. We're wearing oversized clothes. And then it's time for you to go to a Christmas party. Or it's time for you in the spring, everybody wakes up from hibernation and all of a sudden it's this like really hot day and it's time for you to wear a pair of shorts or to put on the pair of jeans, right? So you go to put on the pair of shorts and I'm speaking from real life experience about this story. You go to put on the pair of shorts and they won't even go up over your hips. I'm talking like not even over your hips. Like they are stopping and you can't even begin to pull them up over your waist to even try to attempt to buckle them or button them. And it just feels like this moment of dread. And, when you've been on the yo-yo for so long, it's a familiar place to be, is it not? Like it's a familiar, oh shit, here we go again. I can't believe this has happened. Why did I let this happen to myself again? And you go through this whole cycle of what we call in the podcast, the inner fat bitch dialogue, where you start, beating yourself up and telling yourself you're a piece of shit because you've gained all this weight and how you're never going to be able to get at your goal and how did you let this happen? And it's just, and then it sets off this spiral where, For some people, that spiral can happen for a couple days, a couple months, where you're just like, well, F it, who cares? I'm going to eat whatever I want. Nothing works for me anyway. Or you go to the opposite where you're just like, I'm going to go like balls to the wall, restrictive, not let myself eat things, punish myself, kill myself at the gym, and so on and so forth. So that's the stage I want to set, right? If you're listening to this podcast, you're my people, right? Like, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you've been there and you've done that. And that feeling, it sucks. Like, it just sucks. It feels like you've gone backwards. It feels like you've let yourself down. It feels like you're just constantly spinning your wheels and getting the same results. Where the growth is going to come in this journey to becoming irresistible you, to losing emotional weight, where the growth is going to happen is when you decide to take control of your actions. When you decide and recognize that you have a choice in the matter, you just have to wake up. You can't zombie walk through the holiday season and then act like clutching your pearls like it's some shocker that you put on 20 pounds. Okay? It boils down to having real, hard, honest conversations with yourself and being able to call out yourself on your own shit. Once you can do that, girl, like, you got this. Like, you have to get really good at calling yourself out on your own shit and having honest conversations with yourselves, because here's what happens. You live in denial, right? You live in denial. Oh, it's not that bad. And here's the thing. While you were hibernating, you knew you were putting on the pounds. Like, you could feel it. Like, you could feel the pounds coming on. And you know what I'm talking about. You can feel like it's just sucking right onto your skin. Like, you feel bloated. You feel the leggings getting tighter. You feel yourself being sluggish. You know that you're putting on the weight, but at some level, whether it's conscious or unconscious, it's probably, you're zombie walking, so you're trying to just not pay attention. You decide that you're just going to not pay attention to that. Like, I'm in denial. That's not that bad. It's not happening. I'll start over on Monday. And in this case, holiday season, it's not even Monday. You're talking about, I'm going to start over on January 1st. Don't do that. Like, can you just make a promise to yourself that you are not starting over on January 1st? You are starting over today. You are starting right where you are. Like, meet yourself where you are and start over now. Like, get on track today. You don't need to sit around and waste another month, and a month where there's going to be more food than usual. There's going to be more activities than usual. There's, things that you eat this time of year that you maybe don't eat any other time of the year. You don't have to wait till January. You don't want to do that to yourself. So understand that when you get yourself out of denial, right? Taking yourself out of denial and facing the music and being awake and aware of the decisions you're making is going to make all the difference in the world. Because again, weight gain is not something that just passively happens to us, okay? We are in control to an extent of how that's going to go. Now, if you're gaining weight and you're doing everything so according to you by the book, how you're supposed to be doing it. And I mean, that was happening to me earlier this year, right? I was, cutting back. I was, following points, doing the thing. And the weight for me was not coming off. Like, there's something medical that's happening for me. And that is exactly why I decided to begin my journey on the weight loss injections, because something in my chemical makeup, my body, is not allowing me to drop weight. Like, I mean, it's not like I've ever been able to lose weight easily, but it was harder than it's ever been, right? Like, gaining weight overnight when I didn't even do the type of eating or the type of like work that would equal weight gain. So if you're in that boat and you're seeing that, because and you will see that when you're paying attention, right? I could just as easily ignore it, live in denial, act like it's not happening until, we're 10, 20 pounds down the road. So being awake and aware doesn't mean that you're never going to gain weight, because you will and you can. But what it means is that if that starts happening, you're able to course correct a lot sooner than the person who's going to choose to hibernate until it gets hot again. Do you see what I'm saying? So, you have to stay conscious of your decisions, and that there's a line between obsessively checking, weighing in multiple times a day, obsessing about what you're going to eat, versus the healthy version, which is being aware and making decisions based off of that awareness. There's a big difference between that, but it's a fine line at the same time, right? Like, you are used to buckling down, beating yourself up, instead of, having these types of conversations with yourself. Actually knowing that you can control the narrative that's going on in your head. That's up to you. You're not a victim. You're not over here having a pity party. We're not having any pity parties. Not this year, not next year. We're not doing that. And everybody says, oh, the weight just crept up. It's like, well, no, it didn't just, like, that right there. Like, stop telling yourself this bullshit story, because that's what it is. It's a bullshit story. And it's a story that you tell yourself so that you can protect yourself, so that you don't have to take ownership and responsibility for the weight that you've gained. When you tell yourself, I don't know how this happened, it just keeps coming on. The weight's just coming on. I don't know how it's happening. No, girl, you know how it happened. Like, let's be honest. Let's talk about all them Lindt chocolates you were eating while you were on Christmas break. Yeah, I know. I'm talking to myself. Like, anything I tell you guys everything that I have told you and that I share with you, I can say because I've done it, because I live it. I don't sit here and just make up things or repeat what I've heard other people say. I say it because I've lived it, right? So when you're sitting on the couch, eating Lindt chocolates and then talking about, I don't know where the weight came from. Yeah, you do. Like, have an honest conversation with yourself. It's not going to be easy. Nobody likes to face the music. But until you face the music and until you get the honest truth with yourself, you can't get to where you want to go. You're just going to stay stuck in the same yo-yo diet, body hate, shame cycle that you've been running rampant on for years at this point. Years, okay? And again, like, you have to learn how to connect with your body, right? And when you do not like your body, when you do not like being overweight and you've always hated your body, you never feel at home, because you don't want that to be your home, right? You don't want your fat body that you hate to be your forever home. So you check out, you live in denial, and you don't do the things that you do when you have a forever home, right? You just are constantly, trying to find ways to disconnect, because you're like, I'm not going to be here forever. I'm not going to live in this body forever. Like, I'm not going to be like this forever. So I'm going to disconnect and not like listen to my body and be in tune with my body, because I don't want to live here. Does that make sense? Like, if I don't want to be here, I'm not going to start hanging. Like, if you move into a place and you don't own it, you know that you're going to be renting, you're going to be there temporarily. You're not going to make certain investments. You're not going to hang things on the wall. You're not going to have beautiful family photos displayed and hung up on the walls. You're not going to buy new furniture that makes you feel really good, because maybe there's not enough space for what you really want. So you're just like in zombie mode, surface level stuff, getting by, not really just like, this is where I live now. And even if I'm renting, this is my home and I should be comfortable here to make it mine. And that's what you're doing to your body, right? You're not comfortable in your body because you don't see it as a forever home. You see it as, yeah, I'm overweight. I can't stand it. I don't like it. I hate the way I look, but I'm not going to be like this forever. So in the meantime, I'm not going to connect with myself because I don't want to feel what it feels like to live in my body. I don't want to feel the fat rolls when I get into the shower. I don't want to feel the cellulite when I have leggings on. I don't want to acknowledge that this is where I'm at. And you can acknowledge that this is where you're at, that yes, you are overweight. Yes, you are not in the body that you wish that you had. Yes, you are uncomfortable in your clothes right now. Yes, you don't have the physical stamina that you would like to have because of your weight. However, all of that is changeable. And even when I love and I'm in my forever home, in order for that home to be mine and for it to stay nice, I have to continuously do renovations or updates or upkeep or cleaning in order for that to stay my home. If I don't like the color on the walls, I get to go change that. If something is broken, then let's figure out what's wrong and let's fix it. You need to be doing the same thing with your body. If you don't like something, that's okay. I am not one to sit here and tell you, you got to love yourself no matter what. Like, you got to just embrace the roles, embrace it all. It's like, this is where you're at. I don't want you to hate yourself while you're here. I want you to tune in. You don't have to accept it. That's my big message is like, you don't need to accept the fat. You don't need to accept the extra weight. You need to acknowledge that this is what it is. This is where you are, but it's not a permanent spot. And at the same time, you can stay in that forever home and be working on making it better, right? And so that means I'm going to settle in. I'm going to listen. I'm going to say, okay, meet myself where I'm at. This is the body that I have. This is what it looks like. This is how I feel. But how do I want to change that? And when you start to tune in and you start to listen, guess what? You start to pay attention, because right now you're not paying attention, right? Like, you're not paying attention because it's too painful for you. It's too painful to face the reality, the facts that I'm here because of the choices that I made. And I'm not telling you to blame yourself and to beat yourself up. There's a balance where you have to find, I'm not beating myself up. I'm not guilting myself. I'm not shaming myself. I'm just having an honest conversation to be like, you know what? This past year sucked ass. It was hard, this and that. And you decided to use food as a coping mechanism because it's what you're used to. It's what you're comfortable doing. And the result of you choosing that comfort, that temporary comfort over the long-term comfort of being more comfortable in your body and being healthier, the result of that is the weight gain. Okay, I know that. I can acknowledge it. And I can now decide, because once you know something, you get to make a decision. Once you know something, you going forward and ignoring that is now your decision. It's a choice. It's an active choice, right? So you get to decide what you're going to do about it. And as we go into the holidays, we're busy. We got the elf day at school. We've got Christmas cheer day. We've got, I love doing that stuff with my kids, all the Christmassy things they have for school and all the activities. We have been loving this season so far because I really like to lean into it and just go do all the things to make those memories. So if you've been watching my Instagram, we've been going to all these different Christmas activities. We've been doing Christmas activities at home. And that's just me. I'm always like that because I learned a long time ago the value of being in the moment and understanding that it's not okay to rush your life away because it's going to go by fast. And when you have pets and you have kids, that feeling of time just slipping through your fingers is magnified, right? So, you're busy, you're out here doing these activities, you probably have more parties, more events, more food, blah, blah, blah. We know the drill. Like, we know the drill. It's very easy to slip into zombie mode, denial mode, and just be like, F it, I'm not going to pay attention to this. I'll wait till January to take care of myself. That is not okay. Because if you can't take good care of yourself and learn how to manage yourself in times of busyness and stress, how will this ever, ever, ever work for you long term? How will you ever be able to lose weight and keep it off for the rest of your life? You won't, because you cannot wait for all conditions to be perfect for you to work on yourself. What can you do today to move yourself forward tomorrow? And knowing that it's a busy season, I am not asking you, because I don't think anyone should ever do this, to just go crazy, throw out all the food. You shouldn't be doing that anyway. That's like unhealthy. That's called desperate dieting. And we are not here to desperate diet anymore, okay? But here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a decision, okay? Make a decision. I have one more month left in the year. If I'm listening to this in real time, we have about a month left in 2023. Do I, on on New Year's Eve, do I want to have gained weight? Do I want to have lost weight? Or do I want to maintain the weight that I'm at right now? Make a decision. Okay? When you make that decision, like I said at the beginning of the episode, then you have to follow through with it. If you tell yourself, I am mentally prepared and okay if I gain up to 5-10 pounds, whatever the number is that you set. Now you've made a choice. So you don't wake up on New Year's Eve and start the inner fat bitch, back and forth about, oh my God, I can't believe you did this. You're so fat. You're so gross. You gained this weight. Blah, blah, blah. Like, we're not doing that because you decided to make a choice. Okay? If you told yourself, I'm going to stay the same, cool. Okay? And even if your results are not what you told yourself you would do, you're going to use that as an opportunity to learn how to talk better to yourself, to learn how to not beat yourself up because you didn't achieve what you set out to do. And sometimes I think, you can do that, but also I've told you guys this so many times, but not focusing so much on the outcome, but focusing on the action, right? Because I could, stay in a calorie deficit, stay in my points, eat high protein, low carb, whatever this week, and I may or may not lose weight. I ultimately can't really control how much weight comes off on the scale. But what I can control is the actions that I should be taking. So what that means is, instead of saying, I want to lose 5 pounds this week. Okay. I want to not eat past 9 p.m. for this week. I want to not DoorDash this week. I want to not order out or use fast food or whatever this week. I want to walk 3 days this week for 20 minutes. So what you see is I'm focusing on the action and I'm surrendering to the outcome. And the thing is, if you keep doing those kinds of actions, you may not have weight loss this week. You may not have it next week. But if you stay consistent, that's the key. Stop lying to yourself and stay consistent. Eventually, something's going to drop. The weight's going to drop, or you're going to see changes in your health and your body. So when you focus more on the action, so, think about what I said first. Do you want to gain, lose, or stay the same for the rest of the year? Okay, fine. Okay, so what are the actions now that I'm going to focus on between now and the new year? And the name of the game is consistency, and it's being honest and truthful with yourself, right? You can't sit here and say, I don't know how this happened. What I always say, and I do this to myself, when I'm sitting there having that conversation, I'm like, oh my God, why am I not losing weight? What's happening? Start writing the shit down. Because you think, we're really good at telling ourselves one story while living a different story. Like we're telling ourselves, I'm eating good, I'm making good choices, I'm not overeating, but you're over here dumping 3 helpings of pasta on your plate. You're over here, sneaking chocolate and doing this and doing that. You need to be more mindful. And when you have that information and you have that data, then you can make decisions. Does that make sense? Let's start to wrap this episode up. We have parties to go to this season, but one party that I don't want you at a pity party. Party of one, pity party. No, girl, cancel that reservation, okay? You are not going to that. You are not welcome to that. You are not going to sit around and be a victim and have a pity party and act like you don't know how you got here. You don't know where the weight came from. No. You need to sit there and have an honest conversation with yourself, reevaluate the choices that you're making, and keep yourself honest. Because when you lie to yourself, when you are in denial about your actions, who are you answering to? The only person you need to answer to is yourself, and you're only hurting yourself. The concept of, I told myself I was going to work out 5 days this week and I didn't work out today, and I don't want to see an X on my calendar. Like people that circle or X when they work out. So instead of doing that, I'm going to just say F it and I'm not going to do anything the rest of the week. Please stop doing that to yourself. Like you are creating insanity in yourself with this cycle. It is what it is. So that's my message today, is that weight gain is not a passive thing that just happens because it's the holiday season. Stop using the holidays as your excuse and start figuring out how to live your damn life, whether it's a holiday or whether it's a birthday or whether it's a regular old boring Monday. Because y'all know I get on a rant about this all the time. The same food, the same stuff is just repackaged in different ways. The same Christmas trees that you're over here binging on, look, the Reese PC Christmas trees or whatever, Snicker Christmas trees, those are the same pumpkins that you were binging on during Halloween. Talking about, I can't do this during Halloween because all the kids got candy and oh my God. That's the same shit you're going to be binging on in February when Valentine's comes around. It's just a heart. Enough is enough. Like, get real, get honest, get out of denial. Stop being a zombie. You're not a zombie. You're not a victim. You don't need to have a pity party. You are strong. You are determined. You have goals. You're a badass bitch who needs to freaking act like it. Because right now you're acting like a victim under your wet blanket that doesn't know how to get up under that wet blanket. Stop doing that. Be the badass bitch that you were born to be. Okay? Do it. Do it. Like, I'm going to shake you. I'm going to find you and I'm going to shake you till you understand. Okay? Whew. Okay. Let me calm down. All right. We are going to wrap up this episode. I want to say a couple things. Number one, if you want to stay connected with me, the best way to stay connected to me and what's going on with the podcast and me behind the scenes is to follow me on Instagram at Irresistible Icing. Yes, for those of you that are OGs, we still have the Irresistible You podcast discussion group on Facebook. We have over, I think, 2,500 members in that group. That group is dormant. I have not been posting in there. I have not been interacting in there. I have not been approving people in there because I don't know what to do with it. The group started to die. It became a lot of work for, very little return. No one is interacting. No one is responding. No one is posting. And so I don't know if that's something I want to continue. And so, part of my plan for the new year, planning for the new year, is to figure out what we're going to do with that group. If we're going to revive it, we're going to give it some CPR, or whether we're going to put it to bed. So if that's something you like and you want to see that group, or you want to have us bring it back to life, please let me know over on Instagram. You can DM me. Again, it's at Irresistible Icing. But Instagram is where I spend the most of my time, whether it's in stories, whether it's in posts and reels and that kind of thing. And I'm also going to be working on starting on Instagram. They have like a private message thing that's just for your like podcast listeners or whatever. So stay tuned for that. Another thing, I would love your support, and the way that you can support the podcast is to go into Apple Podcast and leave a rating and review. That is the number one way to support the Irresistible You podcast. It lets me know that you're number one, that you're listening, number two, that you like what you hear and what you also want to see going forward. So, and it helps other people find the podcast. So take a breath, Amy. Okay, we're going to be fine. All right, I'm going to wrap things up here. I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, stay irresistible. Bye, guys.